Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to show you guys something I made. It is a samurai sword, also any type of sword really. It is a vise for sharpening, polishing, whatever you want to do to the blade, pretty much, other than etching, but sharpening and polishing, reshaping, taking one of those Chinese knockoffs and making it razor sharp, or you know, in this case, this particular katana blade you see here was given to me, and the kid tried to sharpen it with like a, I don't know, kitchen knife sharpener or something, and what he did is he wound up putting a blade on it like one of these, you know that little blade you get at the end, the little edge that you don't want on a samurai sword, but I guess you do kind of want it on one of these. I don't know. Anyway, I've got a really nice katana indoors that's polished up. It's razor sharp. We're not going to take that out for this video. What I'm going to do on this video is just walk you through what I came up with. This is my own design, and trial and error. What we have is this swivels. What you can see here is there's some wood. It's all held together, gorilla glued together, and I have Unistrut 90 brackets into a malleable steel. This, in other words, this is a bendable steel. It's about 3/16 of an inch thick. It won't do any damage to the stainless sword. This particular sword is stainless. It's not carbon steel. But this will bend before this does, which is what you want if you make a vise out of steel for that. I made it out of wood. It didn't work so good. It kind of cracked the wood. So I figured I'd go with this, and it works great. All 1/4 inch hardware. These are 1/4 inch toggle bolts drilled right through the base that hold the 90-degree brackets in place, and it's bolted through. This is actually an exhaust hanger from a vehicle made out of good steel. It's got all the holes in it, which is perfect for what I need. I can rotate this up, rotate it down, depending on what I want to do. I can loosen that and change the angle of it. That way it comes over here at a different angle. And now if you look, you'll see these right here. Now you see it flopping around. I can go like that. Obviously we don't want a sword to be doing that while we're reshaping the blade into an apple seed, or we're polishing it up. You want it to move good. Now when I shape a blade, I don't use this when I do the first shaping, and I use 120 on that. What I'll do is I'll use a flat board. I'll lay it down and I'll work that edge off so it's got the right type of edge, which it does right now. I already finished it, and I'll show you in a minute how I did that. What I use this for is the final polish to get it to the real razor sharp edge that we want. And it's good because it's stationary. You can't go anywhere. This piece is movable. I can pick it up. I can clamp it to a table. I can clamp it to a desk. I can move it around. I can go clamp it on the table in the backyard, whatever I want to do. And now what I did here, you see these bolts that are poking up. These are 1/4 inch bolts. To stabilize this blade when I'm working on it, what I did is I took a 4x4 and I put 2 holes in the bottom of it. These are bolted up. The holes are countersunk, and the nuts are down in there real tight, so that there's no nut that's above the portion of the wood, the face of the wood. So what I do is I drop this on just like that, and that doesn't go anywhere. There's a groove in the 4x4 that takes the blade. Now if you can see this, I don't know if you can really tell, but if I bring my finger across, I hit the blade. Okay, so this is not all the way down. I don't want it to be all the way down. Now still, you're looking at it, and I can still move it a little bit. It's got a little bit of movement. The thing can come up. Not if I really tighten it up, but here's the kicker. This is the piece that makes it all happen. 2 1/4 inch holes drilled down through here. These are 4 inch toggle bolts. They go down and they lock this in. Now because the blade is up just a touch, this soft wood makes contact with the fine edge and locks this in. I can take a file and grind that down, and this gives my left hand a good place to rest so it's not flopping around. I don't have to worry about getting it cut. And it's perfect because I can lean down, I can look right at the edge of the blade. It's not clamped to the edge of a workbench where I have to guess or unclamp it to get a good look at the blade. I can look down at it. I can tell whether or not I'm overworking one side when I reshape it, or whether it's just right. And the cool thing about this is, now this is really tight, and you want it to be tight. But if I take a screwdriver, I can use a knife. I pry this top piece out, which all it does is it sits in. And I come up with my blade. This is movable. I can move it back to work a different section of the blade, and it goes all the way to the end. Same thing. There's a portion of the blade which is up, and this will grab it. Lock that in. We'll give it a little pressure on there, and that blade is nice and that blade's locked in. So I can work that blade any way I want. Now, in the next video, let's get back to the building of it. It's a 3/4 inch board. These are just stacked and held together with wood screws with a layer of Gorilla Glue in between all three. And then they're bolted together as well into the 90-degree brackets. Okay, there's 4 wood screws holding this piece. Right here you'll see how it's cut because I didn't have one long plank. I used a few numerous ones I had in the garage. 4 wood screws and another layer of Gorilla Glue between the two. On the end down here, let me see if you can see that. Yep, you can see it now. Because this is on top of this, so it doesn't teeter-totter, you take another piece of this wood, small piece, doesn't have to be long, and you bolt it to the bottom underneath. This way this is parallel with that, and everything stays level. You drop it on, clamp it on, you're good to go. It's movable. I like it a lot. So far it's been fantastic. And that's how I did it. All 1/4 inch hardware. These are 1-inch bolts right here. Let me take the camera and I'll give you a little closer shot of what I got going on. You'll see that all I have to do is take my little wrench, 11mm or 7/16, loosen this up, loosen that up a little bit, and the blade pops right out so I can take it out. It's really, so far I've tried a lot of different techniques. I've tried the clamping it to the desk. I have a little vise that I just couldn't seem to get it to work the right way with the blade. Sure, it would clamp it, but then to have something else holding the blade and have it locked in, this is all locked into itself. So once you drop it into a groove like that and you drop this on with your left hand, all you do is just keep your left hand there, work it with your right. I like how you can look straight down at the blade the whole way, so you can tell how your work is progressing as you're polishing it off, and you can see whether you have a folded edge or you have nicks or anything. I really like the fact that you can look at it like that. So anyway, I mean, that's all it is. It's really not that difficult to build. It probably took me an hour, and that was from coming up with the idea to trial and error. In building it. So anyway, stay tuned, because the next video what we're going to do is we're going to take this blade. This particular blade is a Chinese knockoff sword. As you can see, there's not even a hole over here for the handle. There's no pin. There was no pin in there, so I'm going to put a hole in that. I'm going to fix the handle and everything. But it is decent quality stainless steel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to polish this sucker until it's as sharp as my good katana. My good katana is a lot of money. It's a really good one. I'm not going to say what it is. I don't want anyone knowing. All you have to know is that if you come to my house, your head could get chopped off. But we're going to turn this Chinese knockoff katana into a instrument of violent amputation. And that's the next video, where we're going to go through all the different sandpapers and everything. I like to start at 120. I move to 220. I go to 320. I go to 400, 600, 800, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, and then finally I finish it off with 3,000 grit paper and some polishing compound. Now, why do I go through all those grits? Because if you're going to put 120 grit scratches in this steel, and then you're going to try to take those out with 400 grit paper, you're out of your mind. You're crazy. It's going to take you so long. If I go from 120 to 220, those scratches will come out like nothing. Then if I go from 220 to 320, those scratches come out like nothing. But if you go from 120 to 400, you're going to be here sanding away at this thing for a long time. It's just the way it is. You don't go from 600 paper to 1,500. You'd be there for 2 weeks polishing it. Some people, I've seen them do it, and they're like, oh, I've been polishing for 10 hours trying to get the scratches out. That's because your grit gap is way too big. I reshaped the blade on this sword in 1 hour, both sides, with 120. I got it just the way I want it, and now it's to the point where I'm going to polish it, polish it, polish it, polish it, until that blade reveals itself, and we're looking at a deadly weapon that'll cut through some things. And I'm definitely going to, I'll show you what I cut through. You might be surprised at what I can cut through when I'm done with polishing a katana. But with that said, that's the end of the video. And stay tuned, because I'm going to get to cracking on polishing, and we're going to tune this baby up.